talked about a lot of brawlers who have been up and down in the meta recently. Brawlers like Doug, Ali, and Otis. But this time, let's pivot to a brawler that, well, hasn't had the same issues. A brawler that hasn't seen the pits of the meta like some others. A brawler that has caused others to see those very pits. Of course, we're talking all about Lou today, talking about his basics and then addressing why exactly he's been so consistent, but also about some of his limitations. Let's start out with the basics. Lou has mid health at 7000 with a mid movement speed of 720. His main attacks use him fire 3 snow cones at enemies dealing 880 damage, and each cone applies 14.3% frost to enemies, and a full frost meter will mean that the enemy freezes for 1.5 seconds. The range is a respectable 9.33 tiles with a very fast reload speed of 1.1 seconds, and he has an attack width of 0.4 tiles in width. Finally, if the frost meter isn't touched for 2.5 seconds, it'll deplete by 5% per second. Lou's super sees him throw a can of cold syrup, creating an icy and slippery area. This area has a range of 7.67 tiles, lasts for 10 seconds, fills up the frost meter by 14% second, and causes enemies to slide if they change direction. And finally, last but least, deals 80 damage per second. With the basics out of the way, let's get to talking more about Lou. First of all, we need to talk about just how good of a controller he is. When you think of control, he's probably one of the first brawlers that come to mind. But why? Well, of course, there's his super, probably one of the best controlling abilities in the game, but there's also actually his main attack, which controls in a more subtle way. See, Lou's main attack has a frost meter, and this in itself is a sort of control mechanic. As I've said multiple times before, not being able to move in a game like Brawl Stars is a huge disadvantage, and that's exactly what a filled frost meter does to you. This is why it's important to, well, not let it get filled up. But this often creates pressure, big pressure. You'll suddenly be forced to be much more cautious against a Lou, and be pushed back due to the sheer threat of being stunned for a not insignificant time. And this lets Lou gain the upper hand in a battle, controlling to more subtle pressure unlike his super. Lou's super is as good as it gets when it comes to control, especially area control. It basically spawns a near 8 tile circle that is basically a no-go zone for any of the opponents. The sheer utility of the super cannot be understated. Want to block off an entire area from being moved through? Place down a super. Lots of enemies in the same location? Place down a super. In a bit of trouble at a closer range? Place down a super. The amount of value that Lou's super can get is honestly incredible. This is basically one of the only abilities in the game that can basically completely stall entire enemy team movement, simply due to its presence, forcing enemies to take a different route, or wait out the super, or take their risk and go into the tundra. And this connects with his game mode preferences. Lou is great at more control, pressure, based game modes, where the completion of an objective takes precedence over simply killing opponents. This is why he's especially good in modes like Gem Grab and Brawl Ball compared to modes like Knockout and Bounty. Though I seem to be forgetting one game mode. That's right, Hot Zone. This is easily Lou's best game mode, and I don't really have to explain why, though I will. It's simple, the game mode is based around capturing a circular point. Lou's super is circular and nearly takes up the entire point. I think you can guess the connection here. Now let's talk about his matchups. Let's switch it up and talk about his bad matchups first. First of all, fast brawlers. With how small Lou's main attack width is, it's more like a sniper than a controller attack. Therefore, it's quite difficult to consistently hit shots on fast brawlers, who can more often than not dodge attacks. Another bad matchup is with throwers who can, well, bomb Lou from behind walls. Of course, Lou has his great matchups, with one in particular, tanks. Tanks have the biggest hitboxes in the game, so it's easy for Lou to hit his shots on them. Tanks also need to get up close to enemies to hit them, so it's easy for Lou to hit shots on them. Basically, tanks were made to be countered by Lou. He completely shuts them down, easily being able to farm their freeze meter on them. And more importantly, with their big health, he can start chaining supers and basically be a complete menace. This absolute counter to tanky brawlers is one of the biggest reasons why Lou has never completely fallen out of the meta. he's always been able to hold some sort of niche in the meta, especially since there always seem to be at least one tank that's really meta in the season, like Damien, Frank, and Bull recently. And of course, he'll always have a niche in a mode like Hot Zone, with just how useful his super is in the game mode. However, he's actually been quite balanced for the most part since his hypercharge. This is mainly due to his matchup with fast aggro brawlers. His main attack is his main weakness, and his one big limitation, especially in this specific matchup. And with fast aggro brawlers getting more and more powerful, even Lu couldn't exactly compete with them, and was stuck in the B tier for a while. However, BrawlStars had the genius idea to make Lu's main attack, well, not his main weakness anymore. Lu's main attack projectile diameter was increased from 0.33 tiles to 0.4 tiles. This suddenly made Lu very good, as it removed his biggest weakness, which was hitting shots. Now he actually had a chance against high mobility aggro brawlers, though it was still a bit of a sticky matchup for him. However, this had the side effect of making him even more oppressive against tanks, and basically unbeatable now. It's almost like an Edgar type of balancing situation. If you make Lu's main attack more powerful to deal with the speed creep, then you make tanks even worse at being able to deal with Lu. Now let's talk about his unlockables, starting with his gadget. Lu's first gadget is Ice Block, which sees Lu shield himself with ice, becoming invulnerable and immobile for 1 second. This can have its niche uses, especially in such a damage-based meta. Lu's second gadget is Cryo Syrup, which instantly adds 50% freeze meter to opponents in Lu's super. This is a very good gadget, as it basically turns Lu's super from a scary annoyance into a death sentence. Lu's first star power sees enemies in the super area get frozen 14% faster. This isn't a great star power, as more often than not, enemies who are inside the super area will get frozen anyway, especially with this gadget. Lu's second star power sees opponents lose up to 50% of their damage based on how frozen they are from Lu's attacks. This is a very solid star power, as the damage reduction can completely change his matchups, especially against the brawlers he struggles the most against, who can often deal lethal burst damage. Lu's hypercharge sees him instantly freeze enemies in the area. This is one of the best hypercharges in the game, giving basically free kills to Lu and his teammates if played right, and can even cause a team wipe due to the sheer value of being able to stun an entire team at once. Overall, it's no wonder Lu has been one of the most consistent brawlers in the game since its release. His ability to completely dominate certain matchups, such as the tank one, and certain game modes, such as Hot Zone, have landed him into almost certain niches in basically every meta. Even in this meta, which shouldn't be good for him, Lu has managed to thrive, though with some extra help from Supercell giving some pretty unnecessary buffs. Though perhaps we shouldn't be too surprised at this. As always, if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe to help support the channel. If you want to support the content even further, become a member for some special perks like helping out on videos or choosing PowerPoint brawlers. And finally, watch this video, or check out this playlist, or join the Discord server, or check out my music channel if you like the music in the video.